Hello, I am Nick Henley with Scam TV and StampOutScams.com. We are a registered nonprofit scam prevention organization located in Southern California. So today we're diving into a harrowing story of deception and fear, where a mother's love is exploited through advanced technology. Join us as we unravel the tale of Amy Trapp, a school employee from Mill Valley, California, who received a distressing call for someone she believed to be her son. The voice crying out for help after a supposed car accident led into a spiral of panic and a race to rescue her son. But as we'll discover, this was no ordinary call. It was a sinister ploy using AI-powered voice cloning, a new frontier in scamming techniques. Stay tuned as we explore how this technology is changing the game for scammers, creating emotional traps that can deceive even the most cautious among us. So without further ado, let's get over to our latest scam story. Helping us out with this video and doing the narration is one of the college interns volunteering their time for our scam prevention efforts. Her name is Emma, and she is a star in the making. She is doing a fantastic job for us. So Emma, please tell us just what this latest voice cloning scam entails.
Thank you, Nick. This is truly an incredible story. It is definitely frightening and something that we should all learn from. So, the story goes like this. A Northern California woman named Amy Trapp was in her office at the Mill Valley School where she works when she got a call from an unknown number. She picked it up thinking it might have something to do with the school fire drill from earlier in the day. Instead, a familiar voice, one she knew better than any other, was on the line. It was my son's voice on the phone crying, telling me, Mom, I've been in a car accident, Trapp said. Instantly, she felt rising panic. Images of her son Will, away at college on California's Central Coast, flashed through her mind. Him lying on the side of the road in a pool of blood, or trapped in an overturned car. Trapp was convinced that her son was in trouble. When a man came on the line and told her he was a police officer, and that Will had injured a pregnant woman in the crash and had been taken to jail, she believed him, convinced by the unmistakable sound of Will's voice. She also put trust in another man who claimed to be a public defender, representing Will, and asked her to take more than $15,000 from her bank account to pay her son's bail. It wasn't until Trapp's husband called the police directly, hours into the episode, that the couple realized it was a scam. The men were apparently using technology powered by artificial intelligence to copy Will's voice. Will was quietly studying in his living room throughout the ordeal. Versions of this type of phone scam have been around for years, said a senior director of threat research at digital security firm McAfee. The big difference now is the use of AI. The fact that it's so easy to create a cloned voice, you can build a very strong emotional connection with the victim, this senior director said. If you add a sense of urgency or distress, they lose their sense of practicality. Rapid advances in AI mean technology is now available that requires only a few seconds of a voice sample to create a digital facsimile of a person's voice. 20 years ago, you needed the resources of a Hollywood studio or a nation-state to pull that off, said FBI San Francisco Special Agent in charge Robert Trapp. Now, criminals can fabricate a voice using AI tools that are available either in the public domain for free or at a very low cost. Some companies building that technology tightly control who has access to it, but others allow users to upload a voice clip that an AI program can study to generate clips of them convincingly speaking any text a user types in, with up to 85% voice matching accuracy, Karnick said. Phone scams, with and without the use of AI, have rolled across California and the U.S. in recent years. Some try to convince older people their grandchildren are in trouble and in need of money, with the FBI estimating it has received more than 195 victim complaints about those particular scams, with nearly $1,900,000 in losses through September of last year. Trapp, the FBI agent, said his office did not have numbers on how many reported scams involved AI, but encouraged anyone who may have been a victim of such crimes to report them to the agency's Internet Crime Complaint Center. The California Attorney General's office said in an emailed statement that it is aware of the increasing use of AI in common scams, including phone scams, and encouraged victims to report them to the Attorney General's office. Although it's impossible to know precisely which technology the scammers used, Trapp is certain about one thing from that phone call in October. There was zero doubt in my mind. I was talking to my son. In the moment, Trapp had no notion she was the target of a sophisticated scheme, her judgment clouded by terror and adrenaline as an unfamiliar voice took over the call. After speaking to the person she thought was her son for 30 or 45 seconds, a man who said he was a police officer got on the phone. He told Trapp her son had run a stop sign while on his phone and had hit another car. He had suffered a broken nose and a neck injury, but would be okay. But the pregnant woman in the other car had been taken away. Bleeding, the man said. By this time, the school principal, Lisa Lamar, had joined Trapp. She grabbed Trapp's phone and put it on speaker so they both could listen. The officer said a public defender would call. The man who claimed to be Will's assigned public defender, and calling himself David Bell, called a few minutes later. He told Trapp he had spoken to her son, said he was a good kid, and said he had managed to get Will's bail knocked down from $50,000 to $15,500. Could she get that money quickly? He asked. She could, Trapp said. He said, "Don't tell the bank why you're getting the money because you don't want to tarnish your son's reputation." Trapp said. In her frantic state, she agreed. "I would have done anything," he said. Trapp jumped in her car and called her husband, Andy Trapp, who works at another local school, and went to pick him up. Andy Trapp recalled that his wife was utterly convinced that she had spoken to their son. It all comes down to that voice being recognized by his own mother, who he speaks to several times a week, Andy Trapp said. "I never, ever thought I would ever fall for anything like that," he added, noting he doesn't pick up calls from unknown numbers and is careful about suspicious text and emails. The couple raced home, where Amy Trapp began frantically packing the family camper van to drive down to be with their son. "We were just absolutely reeling," she said. Then the pair sped to their bank branch, headed inside, and asked to withdraw $15,500, just as Trapp had been told to do. Back home, when they spoke again to Bell, he told them he would send a courier to pick up the money from their home. That set off alarm bells, and the couple parked their packed camper away from the house, now fearful of the courier and starting to realize something was very wrong. After that call, "Something changed in me," Andy Trapp said. That sounded totally wrong. Finally, the ordeal got to her, Trapp recalled. She sank to her knees in front of the van in the street. "Where is my son? Where is my son?" she screamed. "That's when I called the police station and the jail in San Luis Obispo," Andy Trapp said. They had no record of the incident. "Ultimately, the Trapps did the right thing," said Tony Cipolla, the public information officer with the San Luis Obispo County Sheriff's Department. "You call the place where they're supposedly being held to find out. Is this true?" he said. Then, finally, Trapp called Will. "Yo, what's up?" her son answered calmly, ensconced in his living room and surrounded by his roommates, doing homework. The spell was broken, but it was too much for Trapp. She handed the phone to her husband, who briefly explained the situation to their son, and then hung up to comfort his sobbing wife. Trapp said she called the San Rafael Police Department, who said there was nothing it could do. Tripp, the FBI agent, said the attempt is still a crime, but prosecuting it would potentially involve going after international criminals. He said the agency monitors reports made to the Internet Crime Complaint Center for trends and has taken down some scammers as a result. Since the incident, the Trapps have told their story to many people they know, hoping it will save others from suffering the same emotional distress, even if in the end no money changed hands. Will Trapp isn't sure how someone could have gotten a recording of his voice. He isn't an avid social media user, and the accounts he does use are private. He said he sings and makes music, which he sometimes posts online. "It's hard to imagine how that could be used because it's not like my speaking voice," he said. "It's really scary, so there you go. Another cloned voice scam to tell." Nick, these types of scams are happening more and more. Bottom line, cloned voice scams are just very scary and potentially very dangerous. So Nick, what can our viewers do to protect themselves from these types of scams?
Thank you, Emma. Fantastic job. This is definitely a very, very scary story. Luckily, the Trapp family did not lose any money, and there was a fairly happy ending. But as just in about any scam story, the money takes a back seat. It's the pain and suffering that these scams inflict that impacts most victims. A call like the one Amy Trapp received from the scammers is one of the calls that most parents would dread the most. Avoiding phone voice clone scams requires vigilance and awareness. So here are a few strategies to protect yourself from one of these scams. If you receive a distress call from a family member, especially one asking for money or personal information, like I always say, hang up and call the family member back on a phone number to verify the situation. A good thing to do is devise a family-safe word. For example, in this story, if the mother said to the fake son, "Is Rex okay?" Rex, or any other name for that matter, could be the name of a beloved family dog that had passed away many years ago. But the scammers, not knowing this, will most likely say, yeah, Rex is okay, or Rex was in the car, and then just move on. Unknowingly, the scammer had just failed a family code word test. When talking to the scammers, posing as a loved one or someone you know, ask your questions quickly. Why ask questions quickly? Because many times the scammers are using a soundboard on their computer with a limited amount of scam canned voice cloned responses. So asking questions quickly can create havoc with the scammer's soundboard work and leading many to make many mistakes. It also may lead to a question that they just don't have a canned response to. Their main goal is to trick you into believing you are talking to a loved one and then get off the phone and get your ass to the bank is what they want. Scammers often create a sense of urgency to bypass your logical thinking. Always take a moment to pause and to consider the situation, even if the request seems urgent. If the scammer happens to mention sending a courier over, tell them that will probably work, but don't give them a legitimate address or location. Tell them you will get the funds first and work out a location later. Then, immediately, call law enforcement and tell them what you believe is going on. They can take it from there. Do not attempt to play cops with the scammers. This could be very dangerous and lead to big trouble. Never share personal information, financial details, or send money based on an unverified phone call. Stay informed about the latest scamming techniques like voice cloning and educate your family members, especially the elderly, who are often targeted by these scams. If you're unsure about the legitimacy of a call, contact the police or relevant authorities directly using their official numbers. Do this as soon as possible. Remember, scammers can spoof caller ID, making it appear as if the call is coming from a legitimate source. Always verify this information independently. Don't assume because the name of a police department pops up on your screen that it is not a spoof call. So set up safeguards with your bank or financial institution. This can include alerts for unusual activities or limits on the amount that they can be transferred without additional authorization. Remember, scammers exploit emotional vulnerability. So staying calm and thinking critically during unexpected calls can be your best defense. Thank you very much from Scam TV.
This is celebrity spokesperson Morgan Freeman, asking all of you to please stay safe and scam free. Now, you are probably asking yourself, is that really Morgan Freeman? In this world of voice cloning, it is hard to tell. So please be careful out there and always be skeptical. Thank you for watching, and please do not forget to like this video and subscribe to Scam TV on YouTube.
Oh, and before we go, that voice was not that of Morgan Freeman. We used it as an example of the power of voice cloning. We don't want any trouble with Morgan Freeman. Cloning his voice takes seconds. It is not even a high quality cloning. Just a quick, low quality cloning to make a point. So be careful. That voice on the other end of the line may not be who you really think it is. Goodbye and stay safe. Thank you very much for tuning into Scam TV.